In the muted glow of the city's late hours, the quiet was shattered by an unnatural hum, a sound that seemed to warp the very air it permeated. At a lonely bus stop, beneath the flickering light of an old fluorescent bulb, sat Emma and Jack, two strangers sharing nothing more than fleeting glances and the occasional mumble about the delayed bus. Jack, a rugged man in his early 30s, was returning from a late shift at the factory, his clothes slightly soiled with the day's labor. He often found himself working overtime, driven by a relentless need to escape the monotony of his daily life. Beside him, Emma, a young woman with an earnest face framed by cascades of brown hair, clutched her bag tightly. She was a graduate student in biology, often staying late at the lab to pore over her research. Without warning, the hum crescendoed into a deafening roar, and the air above them rippled like disturbed water. Both Emma and Jack looked up, their expressions shifting from confusion to terror as a massive silhouette materialized out of the night sky. It was a spacecraft, unlike anything human engineers had devised, with angular surfaces and pulsating lights that danced in strange hypnotic patterns. Before either could react, a beam of light enveloped them, lifting their bodies off the ground with an irresistible force. The cold grip of fear tightened around Emma's heart as she reached out, her fingers brushing against Jack's hand. Their eyes locked, a silent acknowledgement of their shared predicament, before the world around them faded into a blinding white void. They awoke in a stark, metallic room, stripped of their earthly garments and dressed in strange, seamless fabric that clung to their skin. The room was clinical, illuminated by a soft, pervasive light that seemed to emanate from the walls themselves. Emma, ever the scientist, observed her surroundings with a mixture of fear and fascination. Jack, on the other hand, paced like a caged animal, his eyes darting around as he searched for an escape. Suddenly, a section of the wall slid open, and they were no longer alone. In front of them stood two beings, so alien in appearance that it defied human comprehension. They were tall, with elongated limbs and translucent skin that revealed the faint bioluminescent glow of their circulatory systems. Their faces were a smooth canvas, devoid of eyes or a mouth, yet they communicated, not through sounds but directly into Emma and Jack's minds. "We mean you no harm," the message echoed in their heads, a soothing tone attempting to calm their rising panic. "Our planet is dying. We have lost our ability to reproduce naturally, and you have been chosen to help us." Emma, despite her fear, was driven by a deep, insatiable curiosity. "Chosen for what?" She projected her thought, unsure if the beings could even understand her. The response was almost immediate. "Your species is biologically compatible with ours. Through you, we can repopulate our planet and save our civilization from extinction." Jack's reaction was visceral, his face contorted in anger and disbelief. "You kidnap us to turn us into breeding stock?" His thought was a sharp spike of rage, piercing the otherwise calm exchange. The beings seemed to pause, as if considering their response. "We have explored all other options. You are our last hope." As the gravity of their situation sank in, Emma and Jack exchanged a look of despair. They were no longer just two strangers at a bus stop. They were now unwitting saviors of an alien race, bound together by a bizarre twist of fate. As they stood in the cold, alien light, the door before them opened, revealing a path that led deeper into the heart of the spacecraft. With uncertainty heavy in their hearts, they stepped forward, their journey into the unknown just beginning. As Emma and Jack ventured deeper into the spacecraft, the corridor before them seemed to stretch into infinity, lined with panels of shimmering light that pulsed gently, mimicking the rhythm of a calm breathing. The atmosphere was heavy with a sense of solemnity, and every step they took was met with a silent whisper of the ship's alien technology. The beings, whom they now referred to as the custodians in their minds, led them to what appeared to be a central hub of the vessel. The room was expansive, with walls that arched into a high dome. The center of the dome projected a holographic display of a planet, their planet, in a state of devastating decline. Deserts consumed green lands, oceans turned into barren wastelands, and storms raged across the shrinking habitable zones. "This is what remains of our home," The custodian's thoughts resonated in the room, tinged with a palpable sadness. Once it was a vibrant place, teeming with life and the potential for boundless creativity and love. But our biological crisis has doomed us to a slow extinction. Emma, moved by the display, reached out her hand as if to touch the rotating hologram. "How did this happen to you?" she asked, her voice a mix of empathy and scientific curiosity. The explanation came not in words, but in a flood of images and emotions directly imparted into their minds. They saw the custodians in their prime, a species not unlike humans in their desire for connection and advancement. However, a genetic flaw had crept into their population, one that had been exacerbated by their advanced technology and manipulation of their own biology. Over generations, the custodians became sterile, their very evolution turning against them in a cruel twist of fate. Jack, who had been quietly absorbing the history of these beings, finally spoke up, his tone less aggressive but still laced with concern. "You've brought us here against our will. Is there no other way for your species to survive?" The custodians paused, and the room dimmed slightly as if reflecting their melancholy. "We have attempted many solutions. Artificial replication, genetic modification, even the creation of synthetic life forms. None have succeeded. You are our last viable option." As the weight of their mission sank in, Emma and Jack were led through another set of doors into a new chamber. This one was equipped with what looked like medical and scientific equipment, far beyond the technology available on Earth. "Here, we will attempt to combine our DNA with yours," explained the custodians. "The offspring will be nurtured here, in an environment tailored to support both our physiologies." Emma looked over the equipment, her mind racing with both ethical and biological questions. "Will they be human or like you?" she asked, her voice a mix of wonder and worry. "They will be a new form, a blend of both our essences. They will carry the legacy of both our species," came the reply, filled with a hope that seemed to light the room. As the custodians explained the procedures, detailing the careful, respectful steps they would take, Emma and Jack were given a choice. They could agree to participate willingly, with the assurance of their safety and care, or they could refuse, and the custodians would attempt no force. The decision lay heavy on their shoulders. Behind them was Earth and a life of certainty. Ahead, a strange new existence as part of a cosmic legacy. The enormity of the decision was not just about their own lives, but potentially about the continuation of an entire civilization. After a long moment of silence, Emma turned to Jack, her eyes searching his. They were in this together. Months had passed on the custodian spacecraft, turning into a peculiar kind of routine for Emma and Jack. They had adapted to life among the stars, their days punctuated by visits to the synthesis chamber, where they watched the growth of the hybrid embryos with a mix of parental anticipation and scientific fascination. The custodians continued to be excellent hosts, providing not only technological support, but also a deeper insight into their culture and philosophy, fostering a growing sense of community and shared destiny. As the time for the hybrid's birth approached, the atmosphere aboard the ship became charged with an electric sense of expectancy. The custodians, typically reserved in their emotions, now shared openly their hopes and fears about this new generation. For them, the hybrids symbolized not only the survival of their species, but a new chapter in their civilization's history. The day of the birth arrived with a ceremonial air. The custodians had prepared a special chamber for the event, decorated with images of both Earth and their home planet, symbolizing the union that had made this moment possible. Emma and Jack, dressed in ceremonial garments provided by the custodians, felt the gravity of the occasion. They were about to witness the birth of a new life form, one that was a product of both their own and an alien lineage. The process was as meticulously organized as everything else on the ship. The capsules, now glowing intensely, signaled that the time had come. The custodians initiated the birth sequence, a complex procedure that involved gently transferring the now fully developed embryos from their gestational environments to specialized birthing pods. Emma and Jack watched, holding each other's hands tightly, as the first of the birthing pods opened. Inside, cradled by a nest of bioluminescent fibers, was a newborn, a perfect blend of human and custodian traits. It had Emma's eyes and the delicate, glowing traceries of custodian bioluminescence across its skin. Tears filled Emma's eyes as she approached the pod, guided by the custodians. She reached out a trembling hand, and the newborn grasped her finger with a surprising strength, its eyes blinking open to gaze upon its human mother. Jack, equally moved, joined her side, looking down at the newborn with a profound sense of wonder. "They're beautiful," he murmured, his voice thick with emotion. "They really are ours, aren't they?" As more pods opened, revealing several more newborns, each unique, yet marked by the same blend of species, the chamber filled with a soft, harmonious sound, a celebratory song played by the custodians. It was a sound that seemed to resonate not just through the chamber, but through the very heart of all present. The custodians, through their mind-to-mind communication, shared their gratitude and joy. "Today marks a new beginning for all of us," they conveyed. "These children are the first of a new generation that will carry forward the legacy and dreams of two peoples." In the days that followed, Emma and Jack learned to care for the hybrid children, guided by the custodians. The children grew quickly. In the silence of the alien medical chamber, Emma and Jack stood facing each other, each lost in a tumult of thoughts and emotions. The custodians had left them alone, a gesture of respect for the gravity of their choice. Around them, the soft hum of the spacecraft's systems provided a constant, albeit alien, comfort. Jack, always more grounded, was the first to break the silence. "Emma, I know this is insane, and there's a part of me that wants to just say no and demand they send us back. But then I think about what they showed us, their world, their people dying out. It's a lot to process." Emma nodded, her eyes reflecting the flickering lights from the various displays. "I feel the same. There's an ethical dimension here that's hard to ignore. It's not just about us. There are lives at stake, an entire civilization. But then, there's our own autonomy, our lives back on Earth. It's not a decision to be taken lightly." The weight of their discussion seemed to draw them closer together, physically and emotionally. Despite the alien surroundings, a human connection was forming, born of shared responsibility and the strange circumstances that had thrown them together. Jack reached out, taking Emma's hand. The contact felt reassuring, a human touch amid the sterile alien technology. "Whatever we decide, we should decide together. They've given us a choice, which means we have some control over this. We're not just specimens to them. We're partners in this, whatever it is." Emma squeezed his hand, grateful for the solidarity. "Let's consider the options logically. We participate, and we potentially help save a species from extinction. We don't, and we live with the knowledge that we might have condemned a civilization to death. Also, there's no telling how our refusal might affect our chances of going home." Jack nodded, his brow furrowed in thought. "It's a gamble either way, but if we do this, we're part of something bigger. Maybe this is bigger than us, bigger than our own lives. And if these custodians are as advanced and ethical as they seem, perhaps we could learn something from them. Maybe this could be a new start." The idea of a new start resonated with Emma. Her life on Earth, while filled with academic achievements and research, had always felt constrained, limited. Here in the vastness of space, with the fate of a species intertwined with hers, possibilities seemed endless. "Jack, I think I want to do it," Emma said softly, her voice steady despite the uncertainty that lay ahead. "I want to help them. It's not just about their survival anymore. It's about what this means for us as humans, as beings capable of compassion and sacrifice." Jack looked at Emma, admiration and resolve firming his features. "I'm with you. We do this together. Let's help them save their world." With their decision made, they called for the custodians, who returned to the room with a presence that felt less imposing and more welcoming. Communicating their decision, Emma and Jack felt a shift in the atmosphere, a sense of relief and gratitude from the beings. "Thank you," the custodians conveyed, their thoughts rich with emotional overtones. "You have chosen not only to help us, but to bridge our worlds in a way that we never imagined possible. We will ensure your safety and comfort throughout. With their decision firmly made, Emma and Jack were ushered into the heart of the biogenic synthesis chamber, a room that hummed with the energy of life yet to be born. The chamber was a masterpiece of alien engineering, designed not just for efficiency, but with a palpable reverence for the life it was meant to help create. Its walls were lined with panels that pulsed with a soft, living light, mirroring the bioluminescent glow of their custodian hosts. The custodians, their movements precise and gentle, explained the initial phase of the process. Emma and Jack would undergo a series of treatments to prepare their bodies for the synthesis. These preparations were designed to ensure compatibility and maximize the viability of the hybrid embryos. The atmosphere was clinical yet comforting, with the custodian's thoughts projecting calm and assurance. Emma, ever the scientist, was fascinated. "What are these treatments exactly?" she asked, her curiosity piqued by the array of instruments and devices. One of the custodians responded, "The treatments are multifaceted. They include genetic modulation to harmonize your DNA with ours, and cellular enhancements to support the hybridization process. This is done with utmost care to preserve your health and well-being." Jack, looking at the devices with a mixture of awe and apprehension, added, "And these enhancements, they won't change us? Will still be us?" "Absolutely," the custodian reassured. "The modifications are temporary and focused solely on reproduction. You will remain fundamentally human, as will we remain fundamentally ourselves." As they proceeded with the treatments, Emma and Jack were placed in separate but adjacent modules, where the morning of the synthesis dawned like no other, marked by a surreal anticipation aboard the custodian spacecraft. Emma and Jack awoke feeling rested yet charged with a nervous energy, aware that the day's events would potentially shape the future of two civilizations. As they made their way to the synthesis chamber, the corridors of the ship seemed to pulse with a more vibrant light, reflecting perhaps the significance of the day. The custodians greeted them with a solemnity that underscored the gravity of their task, guiding them back into the room where their journey towards creating new life would begin. The synthesis chamber had been transformed overnight. The center now held two clear capsule-like structures filled with a viscous, glowing fluid. These were the gestational environments where the hybrid embryos would develop. The custodians explained that the capsules were designed to simulate ideal conditions, blending human and custodian physiological requirements. Emma, dressed in a light, fabric-like suit that the custodians had provided, approached the capsules with a mix of awe and scientific curiosity. "How will the embryos be created exactly?" she asked, her voice steady but her hands betraying a slight tremor. One of the custodians, whose thoughts had always been the most transparent to them, replied, "We will merge your prepared genetic material with ours, using a catalyst that encourages hybridization. The process is precise, controlled entirely by our technology to ensure the highest probability of success." Jack, standing beside Emma, took a deep breath as he looked over the setup. "And after the embryos are created, they grow here?" He motioned towards the capsules. "Yes," the custodian confirmed. "The embryos will develop here until they are ready to be born. You will be able to observe their development, and we will provide you with constant updates on their progress." The process began with Emma and Jack providing their final consent, reaffirmed by their initial decision to participate.